You know, I don't think that there's anything like a hot bowl of soup on a cool, crisp fall day.
There are a few things like it, and today we're going to show you how to make French onion soup with Chad Flazinski from Taylor's Tavern in Greenfield. It smells good.
It smells really good. Okay, we're going to jump right into this.
Yeah.
What's step one in making your own French onion soup?
So you always got to start with the onions. You got to cut and peel them. We're going to peel them down real quick. You take the core right off.
That is a big knife.
I was thinking the same
Right?
thing.
It's a Chinese cleaver.
A
Do I
Chinese
need
cleaver.
to use one like
Yeah.
that to make French
No,
onion soup?
It's
no.
required.
This one's just sharp and it's kind of my baby.
Very
so
intimidating.
I enjoy it very much so.
All right.
Just peel it off. Don't be
I would
afraid
help,
one
but-
layer is totally all right.
All right. So
That's going to smell like onions for the rest
That's
of the day.
okay. I'll just sit next to Ashley. She'll enjoy
And
it
so
immensely.
when I cut onions, I do two things. One, I make sure all the peels are gone because peels don't cook and they'll be really weird when you get one in your
Yeah,
mouth.
no one likes an onion
Also,
peel.
you're going really thin with the lines. Lines run this way, not going against the lines, going with the lines.
Oh, I didn't know it
Sometimes if you
mattered.
go against the lines, you'll end up with a bunch of diced onions. And traditionally, onion soup is done long and thin. So I'm just going to chop these real
But it's
quick.
also done with well-cooked caramelized onions.
well
is that right?
caramelized onions, correct.
And that
which
can
I
take a
have
long time.
Few started. They don't take generally a long time. I was telling Ashley before we came on that you can go low and slow or high and attentive. So if you're going to be here and you're going to be standing over it, then you want to be on a higher heat and it'll get done a little bit quicker. But once the soup is done, you definitely want to kind of let it go. So I've started some onions. I'm going to add these onions to my dancing pot over here.
It is dancing.
Is that because
It's doing the hula.
It's not.
It's because the induction is only touching one part of the pot because it's been worked from cooking for so many years.
I get you. All right.
So now the pot's got a little roundness to it, and the heat is actually creating
It
friction.
gives a character. Look at
in the whole
that.
body. So we'll let those simmer just for a second and stir them on up, and then I'm going to add a little more soup. So once your onions are caramelized,
So this is on high heat.
this is
So we're
on
being
high
attentive
heat.
with high
Yeah,
heat.
We're being attentive. Apparently, I don't have hours to stand here. So.
No, yeah, you need to be out by 12.
No, and not that this takes hours. It is a fairly quick soup to be making. Once you caramelize the onions, we're going to add a little bit of cream sherry or dry sherry, depending on what you can find.
Okay.
Some stores only carry one of the two. Most stores just say cooking sherry, so
Okay.
you can use it for that. Once you add the sherry, that works as a deglazer. That takes all the burnt sugars that you've been caramelizing,
Yeah.
and is going to release them into the soup. And so once I do that, I add my garlic, so that way I make sure I don't burn that, because if you add that with the onions,
You'll
it
burn
will
it?
burn because
I get
the
ya.
onions take longer than the
Speaking
garlic.
of burning,
Ash, can I get you a napkin or perhaps something like this to
we know
blot your...
this. We know I have trouble with
you're
onions.
crying.
We should
Onions
just.
right
well,
now.
you know what though? I will say I'm a little teary-eyed too.
Yeah,
It-
that was one emotional
I'm
moment.
just, you know, I'm just remembering the wedding from this weekend. It was so emotional.
I was told a long time ago that when you're cutting onions, if you cut an onion with a baby carrot or a carrot in your mouth, it takes the acidity out of the air.
Are you
I
kidding
never
me?
And
heard
I was
that
told
one.
years later that it was all in my head. And so since then I haven't used the carrot. So you
No,
just gotta
okay.
not think about it.
You know
as
what?
it
I'll
is.
try anything,
$100.
especially when I'm on TV.
Oh, look at that. There's a very close-up shot of you and your eyes. Isn't that nice, Ashley?
Trying to
Here's
work.
what I'm going to say.
French
I'm going to
onion
do it right now. $10 to the person who can come on this show and do it without us crying.
Okay. All right.
$10. That's
I'll
it.
be back
Well,
in October,
I don't have a lot of money.
apparently.
All right, back to the soup.
Back to the
So you
soup.
put some garlic in there. I tried to focus.
Yeah,
But
I put some garlic in there. I added salt and pepper mixture.
Okay.
More pepper than salt because the pepper balances out the sherry and the sweetness and gives it a little body as it goes in. So normally my salt and pepper mixture is 50-50, but today it's probably 3/4 to 1/4.
Okay.
We're shaking away.
I was
I
gonna say,
added a-
and what
pot's
was this
great.
paste? What was this paste?
This
that you
was
put
just
in?
the beef base that you can find at
Oh,
any
okay.
store. Most of the time, you know, they do bouillon cubes or something along those lines.
But beef base is better?
Yeah, beef base is better.
Okay.
And so as this is cooking, I have a little already prepared over here.
So do you let it cook down for a while?
Yeah, this is going to cook for probably about 20 to 30 minutes once it comes to a boil, which might take a little while depending on how powerful your stove is. But then once it's done,
You just ladle it on
get a
in?
good smell. This is the one that you're smelling over here.
Oh,
And
that's
we're
the
gonna-
good stuff.
Yeah, we're going to
right.
ladle it on in here.
And then while you're ladling, we have to talk about these croutons over here. No, I don't think we cut them though.
No, don't cut
we
them.
don't cut
Don't
them.
cut them. They're
Oh.
nice and round. You notice our bowls are round
That's
too.
a
Yeah,
valid
see how
point.
cute that- So how did you get the crouton to look like this?
These ones actually, I used a piece of Texas toast because it's a little thicker. It has a little more body, although you can use white bread as well. Or, you know, if you got croutons laying around the house that you had salads with, anything that's going to give it a little body that the cheese can hold on to. These I seasoned with olive oil, salt, pepper, and garlic powder.
And then you just cut them out?
I cut them actually beforehand, thank you. No, I used a bowl that I thought was around the same size of the one that I was going to be putting in the oven, which is this crock here.
Smart
As your
thinking, Chad.
crouton cutter.
Yeah, and so we'll set that right on top.
Pop them on.
And,
Perfect.
I mean, do you guys like cheese?
Do I like cheese?
You like
Why don't
cheese.
you go ahead and lay
you're
the cheese
fine.
on
Layer
there.
it on.
Here you go, Ashley.
Okay. Swiss cheese, right?
Swiss cheese today. Traditionally, as it's done in France in modern times, this is a gratinée, which is the act of browning cheese over the top of bread.
Oh.
And so we're going to put these in the oven, and they should cook off in about 2 minutes or so, just until the cheese is melted. If you like the cheese a little crispier, you can leave them in a little longer. French onion soup really has a lot of persona. Seth, if you open the oven
I would
for me
love
so I
to.
can set these in, and excuse
And now,
me.
Chad, we're just doing this until the cheese melts. Is that right?
Just doing this until the cheese melts.
And
Nice
that's what, a
easy.
minute tops?
Minute and a half,
Something
two.
like. But you want it a
Yeah.
little bit golden brown.
You'll see, it'll thin right out, and when we serve them at the restaurant, we do put a little bit of a crust on them because they have to hold when they're going out to the table, and we
I
want to make
love
sure
that
they're
crispy.
really hot
and
for
then
you
you
guys
peel
when
the
you get
cheese
'em.
off the
Yeah.
side.
Do you
of
eat
bowl.
the outside of the bowl, right? Do you eat the
Maybe.
cheese off the outside?
Maybe.
Okay, me too. Hey,
Thanks so much, Chad.
for a copy of this recipe, just visit us online, mymassappeal.com, a little bit later today.